Hey everybody, welcome back to another TryHackMe video, and in this video we're going to be looking at the Wonderland room. And this room is one of their medium difficulties, but before we get started, if you would help me hack the YouTube algorithm by giving this video a like and subscribe, that would really help me out a lot. I'm trying to grow the channel, and also share this with anyone that you think may be interested in this type of content. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, now I've already got this machine started, so I'm just going to copy the IP address and we'll head over to the terminal and we'll give it a quick ping test just to make sure we're online. And it looks like we are, so let's go ahead with our Rust scan and see if we can enumerate some ports on this machine. And as I've said before in previous video, you can use the same options as you would with Nmap, and I always like to use the PN option because I've already pinged the device, so I already know it's online. There's no need for Nmap to do that for me. And I like to use the ON to output an Nmap format, so we can store this in Nmap_results and see what we get. Now right off the bat we see we have port 22 SSH and port 80 HTTP. So let's head back over to our web browser and let's check out this web server and see if there's anything interesting here. And we get a message that says follow the white rabbit and some text and a picture of the rabbit. So let's take a look at the source and see if there's anything interesting. And nothing is really sticking out to me, but we do have an image file, and I want to take a copy of this and get this offline so we can see if there's anything interesting in there. So let's go ahead and open another terminal window and we'll get this down. And while this is downloading, a lot of times there may be some metadata in the file that we can look at with ExifTool to see if there's any type of hints or clues as to what we're looking for, or there may be some steganography. So let's take a look with ExifTool and see if there's any EXIF data on this white rabbit JPEG file. And nothing stands out to me here, so let's see if we can get any kind of steganography information on this white rabbit JPEG. Yes, we want to try. We're going to try an empty passphrase, and it looked like that worked. So it looks like there's a embedded file called hint.txt. So let's see if we can extract that with StegHide. We'll give it our steg file and no passphrase, and it looks like it was extracted to hint.txt. So let's cat out hint.txt. And it says follow the RABBIT. Okay, that's pretty interesting. And since we know we have a web server, we're going to use dir search. It's similar to GoBuster, but I like dir search because it lets you do some syntax highlighting, and it just makes it a lot easier to read. And also you can do a recursive search with the -R option, and we're going to give it a word list of opt word lists dirbuster directory list medium, and let's see what we get. So we know we have an image directory because that's where we got our white rabbit JPEG, but there's also a /R. So let's head back over to our web browser and let's take a look at /R and see if there's anything here. And it says keep going. Let's see if there's anything in the source. Which way I ought to go from here? Okay, that's not very useful, but let's head back over to our terminal, and to speed things along, I'm going to run another dir search on our URL, and let's see if there's anything in /R, because sometimes it may take dir search a little bit to run depending on how big the word list is you're using, which we know we're using the directory list medium, and I want to go ahead and speed this up a little bit. So we're going to do that on /R again, and it looks like we have RA. Okay, so that hint is starting to prove useful to us. So let's head back over here and we're going to look at the /A, and again we get a message that says keep going. So let's look at the source, and it says not much. So let's take a gander. Let's see if we can follow the rabbit trail. We're gonna try and enter the rabbit hole here, and let's try /B. And we get another keep going. And there's not much in that source. So let's go /B, keep going, I, and keep going. Nothing there. And let's see if we can finally make it to the end of the rabbit hole with T. So we spelled out RABBIT in the URL, and it says open the door and enter Wonderland. And there's a picture of Alice opening a curtain to, I assume, what's the rabbit hole. And so I've got a feeling we're about to enter the rabbit hole ourselves. So let's take a look at the source code and see if there's anything in here. Open the door, blah, blah, blah. Ooh, it looks like we might have some credentials. And if we recall, we do have SSH open. So let's hop back over to the terminal real quick, and I'm going to cancel this search. And let's start an alice.txt. And since that was the username that we found potentially, and we're going to just paste that in there, and we're going to write that. And it looks like we also have a poem directory. So let's head back over here just to make sure we haven't missed anything, and let's try to go to poem, the Jabberwocky. I don't know what a Jabberwocky is, but if you do, let me know in the comments. And it looks like we just have a poem here, so let's check the source, and nothing is really jumping out at me. So we're going to kind of abandon this for now, but we'll keep it in the back of our minds, and we'll head back over to the terminal. And I think it's safe to say we've enumerated this web server well enough for now. So I'm going to cancel that, and I'm going to try to SSH as Alice at our IP address. And yes. And let's copy this ridiculously long password and see if we can get in as Alice. And it looks like we're in. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this window, and let's take a look where we're at. We're in Alice's home directory, and if we give an lsla, we have a root.txt. This is usually the root flag, and okay, we don't have permissions to this. It's owned by root, and it's only readable and writable by root. So if we try to cat this out, we're not going to be able to read it. Yeah, so there's also a walrus in the carpenter.py. Let's take a look at our sudo privileges real quick just to see what we have. We've already got our password copied. And it looks like Alice can run user bin python 3.6 on this walrus in the carpenter.py script as the rabbit user. So if we take a look at sudo's help menu real quick, we see that in order to run something as another user, or sudo as another user, we have to use the -u option, and that will let us to run a command or edit a file as the specified username or ID. So we know we can do that as rabbit. So let's take a look at this walrus in the carpenter.py file and see what's in here. I'm going to open it up with Vim. That way we get a little bit of syntax highlighting. And let's see, we're importing the random library, and we have a poem variable with a really long string of characters and bytes and whatever of, looks like just a poem. And it looks like, okay, we're splitting on the new line character, and it looks like we're just going to print out a random line from this poem. So let's actually quit this, and let's see what this does. And just as it says, it prints random stuff out of that poem. So the way we can take advantage of this is if we look at the source again and go back to the top, we're importing the random library. So what we can actually do is create our own random.py, because Python will try to import a library from where the file is run before it goes to the path of your Python installation. So let's quit this, and let's go ahead and start our own random.py. And in here we're going to import pty. We're going to pty.spawn. And if this works, we should be able to spawn a shell as the rabbit user. So let's quit this. And let's see, let's look at our sudo privileges again. So I'm just going to copy this here to make sure we get it exactly right. And we're going to sudo TACU, which you remember from our sudo help menu, rabbit, since we can do this as the rabbit user. And we're going to paste in this command here. So with any luck, we should be able to get a shell as rabbit. And that looks like it works. And we are the rabbit user. Let's see. So it doesn't look like the rabbit user has any groups. Let's sudo tacl on this guy. And we don't actually have a password for that user, so we're not going to be able to use sudo. But let's take a look at the home directory and see what all we have. So we have Alice, Hatter, and Rabbit. So let's cd/home/rabbit and see if there's any interesting files in here. And we have a binary called tparty. It's owned by root, but it has the SUID bits set. So we may be able to actually take advantage of this, but before we do, what does this file actually do? Let's run it and see. Welcome to the tea party. The Mad Hatter will be here soon, and then probably by this date. That's kind of funny because the rabbit always assumed he was late everywhere in the movie Alice in Wonderland. Okay, does it do anything else? That's it. We get a segmentation fault, and it looks like this may be using some kind of native system command to get the date and time. So let's actually, because the time has changed here, so let's actually see if we can run strings on this tparty binary. And we don't have strings installed, but we do have Python. So let's do python 3 tacm http.server, and we'll spin up a quick web server on this machine real quick and open up another terminal. And I know I have strings here, so I'm just going to wget this file down. And we're at 10.10.53.1 on port 8000, and we want tparty. Okay, and if we run strings on tparty, let's do that again and pipe it into less. And here we go. Okay, so we saw welcome to the tea party, the Mad Hatter will be here soon. And then, okay, yep, it is using date. So it's using the Linux date command to actually get the current date. So if we run this here in our terminal, we see that we get the current date and time for the next hour. So it's possible they're just adding the next hour. So that's when the rabbit's supposed to show up. That's why he's always late. So we may be able to actually take advantage of this. So let's quit and exit out of here. And this is owned by root. Okay, so let's create our own date binary that we can use to take advantage of this tparty binary. So we're going to do that in temp, and we're going to call it date. And we have to put our shebang line, and we're going to run binsh, and we're going to run, let's run who am I. And we have to, let's take a look at our temp folder real quick. So we have our date binary, but we have to make this executable so it will actually execute the date command potentially from that tparty binary. So let's chmod +x on /tmp/date, and we've got it executable. And we also need to see if it is in our path variable, and right now /tmp is not in our path variable, so we have to set that before we can actually use it. So let's export path equals /tmp on path. And now if we echo path, we can see that /tmp is in our path variable. So if this works, we should be able to run tparty and execute our date binary. And if you remember before, we actually got a date, but this time we see header. So it looks like this works. So this is a way we're going to be able to take advantage of this binary. So let's actually edit our tmp date again. And this time, instead of running who am I, let's see if we can take a look at the home directory of header. Since we're the header user, we should be able to list out the home directory for header. And now if we run tparty, we get a directory listing, and this is the dot means the current directory, and this is owned by header, so this must be the header directory. And we have a password.txt, and we can read this because when we ran our who am I command from our date binary, we were able to be header when we ran that file. So let's edit our /tmp/date again, and this time instead of lsla, let's cat /home/header/password.txt. And now we run tparty, and this looks like it may be header's password. So let's take note of this, and let's see if we can switch user over to header. And we will paste in our password that we found, and we're the header user. All right, cool. So let's take a look at the home directory. We're in header's home directory, and let's see if he's in any groups. No groups. What about sudo tackl? We have a password for this one, so we can actually see if we have any sudo privileges. And there's no sudo privileges. Okay. What about if there's any set-uid binaries? Because we know that the tparty binary had this, so we're going to check and see if there's anything here. So far, we're not getting any results. And it doesn't look like there is. So we have to find another way to privilege escalate, because we've been Alice, we've been the rabbit, and we've been header. So the next obvious step is going to be root. So how are we going to get root? So let's actually go over to /dev/shm. This is the shared memory location in Linux, and it is typically world writable. So I'm going to open up another terminal and make this bigger, and let's cd to /opt/linps, and this is the Linux privilege escalation awesome scripts. I have an alias to run a Python server on here. It's just up. It's quick and easy. So I'm actually going to go over to our victim machine here, the Wonderland box, and I'm going to wget http. I believe my IP address is 10.6.67.211 on port 8000, and I want linps.sh. And it looks like that's downloading. Okay, so now we have linps, and we need to make this executable. So we're going to chmod +x on linps. And now we can close this, and let's run linps and see if we find any type of PE vector to get a little further. Anything that's in this legend here, red and yellow, is going to be a high likelihood that it's a route for privilege escalation. So far, we're not seeing too much interesting. Just let this run. Wait a second. cap set UID. This is interesting. So we didn't have anything that was a set UID binary, but we do have this here. This may be something useful. I'm actually going to go back over to the web browser and let's look at GTFO bins and see if there's anything for Perl there. Let's look at Perl and shell, reverse shell. Okay, we know we didn't have any SUID bits set because when we ran our find command we didn't find anything. We know that our Hatter user doesn't have any sudo privileges, but if the binary has the Linux cap set UID capability set or is executed by another binary with this capability set, it can be used as a backdoor to maintain privileged access. So this may be what we need to do in order to root this machine. So I'm going to scroll back down here because linpeas is finished. And let's copy this text here and see if we can run Perl as our privesc. And with any luck we should get a bin sh with the root notation and get us a root shell, and it looks like we did. So who am I? I am root. Alright, so we did it. Nice. Alright, so let's cd over to /root. We have a user.txt. Oh, yeah, that's right. So before, when we were in Alice's home directory, we had root.txt. But in this case, we have the user.txt. So this is most likely going to be our user flag. So we got one flag here, and if we lsla on /home/Alice, we have our root.txt. So let's cat out home alice root.txt, and we got it. We got our root flag. So that took a while, and I would guess based on the permissions of this user.txt file, this is readable by everyone. So if we were the Alice user, this is kind of like a mind-bending box. If we were the Alice user, let's get back to the Alice user. We should have been able to read the user.txt file and get the first flag, and we could. So wow, that was definitely a fun box to do, and that was definitely going down a lot of rabbit holes. We went down one with the web browser, we went down one with all these users, but we were able to see a way to take advantage of importing our own Python libraries to spawn a shell as another user and leverage our sudo permissions to do that. And then later with the tparty binary, we were able to leverage our own date binary to exploit the tparty binary as the user Hatter. So really cool challenge, really cool box. And if you haven't heard of TryHackMe or tried it out, I encourage you to give it a shot. It's free to sign up. There's a lot of free rooms in there, and this was a lot of fun. So thanks for watching, and again, please like and subscribe if you hadn't already, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.